Many thousands of years into the future, the Earth is very close to running out of its energy reserve. A global energy crisis threatens the destruction of magnitude humans have never experienced. Humankind is at the threat of nuclear war, and in such a condition, people's only hope is the Shepard Particle Accelerator project. The smartest minds in the world have joined hands to work on this project. Very soon, a space station named Cloverfield will be launched into space with a crew of 6 people tasked to launch something called the Shepard Particle. If everything goes well, the particle will hit a specific target in space-time and emit an unimaginable amount of energy. It will solve the problem of the energy crisis and restore normality in the world. However, there are some people who doubt the project and believe that it will lead to something called the Cloverfield paradox. According to them, this project will unleash hell on Earth, messing up the balance of the parallel universes. Their claims are unclear because even they do not know the magnitude of destruction this project will cause, but they remain adamant about their opinion. The protagonist of the movie is Ava, one of the 6 crew members chosen to lead the Shepard project. A few months ago, Ava lost her 2 children in a fire caused by a battery explosion. She blames herself for their deaths because the battery was her gift to the children so they could read at night. Her husband Michael is always by her side supporting her in the hard times, but after losing her children, Ava has lost the will to live. This is why she agreed to join the dangerous Shepard project. After a month and a half of preparation, the Cloverfield space station is in space, orbiting the Earth. Initially, the crew had 3 chances to hit the specific target several light years ahead of them. However, they have used one of those chances and are hoping to get it on the second try. The chances are low and the pressure is immense, especially because many European countries are on the brink of attacking each other due to conflicts regarding energy. One afternoon, Ava gets on the phone with Michael and tells him about the mission's progress. Both of them are grim because they miss their children dearly. The connection cuts off before they get to complete their conversation. A while later, everyone gathers in the control room to discuss their respective tasks for the day. One of the crew members is a Russian man named Volkov. People in his country are dying because of Germany's invasion, which makes him mad at a German crew member Schmidt. They get into a fight which has to be stopped by the captain and Schmidt's girlfriend Tam. The captain puts them all in order and reminds them how important their mission is. Throughout all this, Ava remains on the sidelines, overwhelmed by the fight. After the situation dies down and the crew is ready, they prepare for the final Shepard launch. This one will decide the future of the entire Earth and every single life on it. The main equipment on board is a gyrocompass that tells the crew their position in space and the position of their target. Volkov sets the compass in and initiates the launch process. A member named Monk does a final prayer before they launch the Shepard and patiently wait for it to hit. The entire space station vibrates aggressively and the lights start to flicker. All of a sudden, they receive a signal of energy, indicating that the mission was a success. Loud cheers erupt in the ship, but it stops only a few seconds later. The collision formed energy, but it is so immense that it made the space station malfunction. As the overload signal blares and the electricity intensifies, the crew holds themselves for an impact. A glass window breaks, making them fly to the ceiling, then slamming them down to the floor. When everything stops, thankfully the crew is alive and well. They try rebooting the comm system to connect back to mission control on the Earth, but the space station seems to be receiving no signal. After repeatedly trying for some minutes, Ava comes across a terrifying discovery: the Earth is no longer where it is supposed to be. The rest of the crew look out the window and through the navigation panel, but their home planet seems to have disappeared completely. Confusion gives rise to tension and conflicts in the group. The captain declares that their primary goal is to repair the damages caused by the power surge. Only then will they start looking for the Earth. While checking the comm system, Ava comes across an empty Euro chamber. It is surprising, especially to Volkov, because he clearly remembers putting it in before the last launch. Suddenly, a loud screech is heard, inviting everyone to a hallway outside the control room. The scream seems to be coming from the wall, almost as if someone is trapped inside of it. Half of the group wants to ignore it while the other half decides to investigate. When they break open the wall, they are in complete shock. A woman is trapped inside with several wires going through her body. Her being in the station is a shock in itself, but the wires that are running inside her are not broken, which confuses the group even more. Even while crying in pain, the woman recognizes Ava and asks her to get her out. The group does as told and takes her to the med bay before dressing her injuries. Then, we see Michael back on Earth, meaning that it still exists somewhere. But with the disappearance of the space station, people have assumed the Shepard mission has failed. Explosions and attacks take over the city Michael lives in, making him rush to the hospital since he is a doctor. However, when he reaches the hospital an hour later, it is in shambles. No one is around except a crying little girl begging for help. Being a responsible man, Michael brings her to his car and gets her somewhere safe. He also tries his best to find her parents, but it is very difficult during times of such an emergency. Back in the space station, pet worms in the cargo deck go missing. Crew member Keel registers that hundreds of worms gone from a closed container is not something normal. At the same time, Volkov goes through strange changes in his body. His left eye moves on his own and something takes over his body almost as if he is being controlled by someone else. He gets a gun and goes to Schmidt, blaming him for being a German spy. Tam stands by her husband, trying to defend him when suddenly, Schmidt gets very sick. He vomits all over himself and falls unconscious. The rest of the crew takes him to the medbay, but he dies before they perform any treatment. The group looks at him in shock, but their shock magnifies when the dead body vomits all the missing worms. The scene makes Ava run back to her room in disgust. The following day, the girl from the wall wakes up and claims that she knows everyone from the group except Tam. According to her, she is a member of their crew and was in the space station from the beginning of the mission. She doesn't know how she ended up in the wall because it happened very quickly and has no explanation for how the rest of them don't remember her. She also claims to be Ava's best friend and tells her not to trust Schmidt. When the captain digs into Schmidt's catalog, he finds out he is actually a German spy tasked to ruin the mission. Schmidt is dragged into a cell and locked inside. He cries and begs that he is innocent, but the captain doesn't trust him anymore. A while later, a crew member Keel is fixing a wall when suddenly, the wall moves, trapping his arm. He tries his best to set it free, but the wall continues moving, making it very difficult for him. The rest of the group gets the emergency signal and runs to save him. However, when they reach the hallway, the arm is already severed and is moving on its own. They trap it inside a glass box and ask Keel what happened. To everyone's surprise, he feels no pain at all, even with his arm on the other side of the room. Schmidt is also there, having somehow escaped the cell. He insists that he is not a spy and that his logs were messed with because of the power surge. The same thing also caused the wall girl to appear out of nowhere, and the same thing is the reason for Volkov's death. No one believes him until the hand scratches letters on the floor and tells everyone to open up Volkov. The group does as told and finds the missing Euro inside his body. It is now clear that Schmidt is telling the truth and everything they are experiencing is because of the power surge. They use the Euro to find their location in space and see that they are in an upside-down universe right opposite theirs. The Cloverfield paradox has come true and the crew has traveled into a different dimension. The wall girl was a crew member in the other dimension, but she ended up in this spaceship because of the collision. They see the other Earth on the other side of the sun, but it is not their home. Still, they try to communicate with the mission control and find out that on this Earth, Cloverfield has already crashed. Countries are declaring nuclear wars and people are dying rapidly. The crew is seeing what is about to happen to their home if they don't complete the mission. Even though the situation is grim, figuring out their location helps them realize they need to ventilate to maintain the oxygen level in the space station. Tam goes into the airlock to work on it, but a malfunction causes it to fill up with water. The rest of the group tries their best to save her, but the door to the airlock breaks and she freezes to death. Without Tam, the completion of their mission is impossible unless they include the wall girl Mina to replace Tam. While talking to Mina, Ava finds out that in this universe, her children never die. The other version of herself is also on Earth with her children, protecting them, unlike her who was the reason for their death. This makes Ava question her entire life. The captain decides to launch another Shepard into space, hoping to go back to their own universe. For Mina to be in her own universe, they decide to send her away in a pod before the launch. Ava approaches the captain and promises to do everything she can for the mission. But she wants a pod for herself, wanting to stay in this universe with Mina. The captain is not in the position to deny her the request, so he agrees. This way, Ava wants to protect her children in this world because she thinks their mother will make the same mistake as her. After everything is decided, the group prepares for the second launch. Keel is fixing a mechanical problem when his tools move on their own. They stick to the wall, hinting toward a magnetic problem. The putty on the wall also moves and traps Keel. The others run to his help but are too late. Mina checks the logs and finds out that the space station is slowly tearing itself apart. Monk, Ava, and the captain have to spacewalk to fix the problem from the outside. They put their lives at risk and go thorough with the job. In an intense scene, we see Monk almost fly away into space while trying to fix the rings outside. When that doesn't work, the captain makes the other two go back into the ship and closes the portal. He wants to do the dangerous job on his own, sacrificing his life for the group. Ava protests, but the captain remains adamant. In the end, she watches him fly away into space after fixing the problem for the ship and its crew. Now with only 4 people left, Ava and Mina get inside a pod to head to Mina's planet. Meanwhile, Monk and Schmidt prepare to fire the final Shepherd and return home on their own. Everything seems to be going well until Mina knocks out Ava and points her gun at Monk. She wants them to use the Shepherd for her planet to save her people. When Monk protests, he is killed. At the same time, Ava regains consciousness and follows Mina. They come face to face when Mina is pointing her gun at Schmidt. Schmidt holds her back, letting Ava go to the control room and fire the Shepherd back home. The plan works, but Mina overpowers Schmidt soon and runs away after firing at him. Ava and Mina meet for a final showdown. As they struggle for the gun, a bullet hits the glass window and sends Mina flying towards it. Ava takes this time to run to another room and close the portal behind her. This way, Mina dies and Ava gets the entire ship to herself. First, she dresses Schmidt's wound before leaving a message for herself on the second Earth. In the message, she talks about her children's death and the Shepherd, so the other Ava could prevent any bad things from happening to her children and to her Earth. Then, Schmidt and Ava finally launch the last Shepherd and end up back in their universe. They are able to make contact with the mission control, who ask them to get inside a pod and return home. The Shepherd provides immense energy and the duo is hopeful they have saved the world. However, when Michael finds out about his wife's return, he yells on his phone, asking her to stay in the space station. In the last scene, we see that the pod is returning to an Earth filled with monsters that were birthed because of the Cloverfield paradox.